Hello everyone, welcome once again to France, and here we are at the Luxembourg Gardens where we left off on the last episode, and we're shooting now on the other side of the street where we have a lot of beautiful statuary. This is a gorgeous park, absolutely gorgeous, and on the other side you'd be able to see the palace there. But now let's listen to our guide.
Look now to the right, on the right hand side of the red tree. Right now you can see the hand of you can see it here. That's the first one, you know?
Right there.
Yeah, it's so small, it's tiny.
I know.
If you compare it to the one in New York. But this was first. This is the original one. And the church on the right hand side called Saint-Germain. It was built 900 years ago. How lucky we are still to have the church. The head of Christ on the lintel above the entrance. And no, not yet stained glass windows, because it's before the era of stained glass windows. Let's look to the left now. That's the highest school of fine arts in France. This area is what we call Rive Gauche, you know, Rive Gauche. And less now, but until the 60s, that was the hub, the center of intellectual and artistic life. Hemingway used to sit here in one of those cafes around there. Ernest Hemingway and many other writers, thinkers, etc. Across the river, you can see how big, huge the Louvre is. All this is the Louvre Museum. That's where Mona Lisa is. If you ask a Parisian how much time I need to go and see the museum, he will tell you 11 years. He's right. It's very big. Endless collection, among which, à droite ici, Mona Lisa and Venus de Milo, the Winged Victory. The whole world have heard of these items, but these items are to be found in this museum that is not open today, because it's Tuesday. On the other hand, we have a museum which is dedicated to Impressionists, and the name of it is Orsay Museum. Joan of Arc, that fought the English and finally was taken and burned on the stake. She was only 21. Poor Joan of Arc. And you can see her now in front of you. But this spot is where she lost the Battle of Paris. And she was taken to be burned in Rouen in Normandy. She became the saint patron of France. The saint patron of Paris is Geneviève. The saint patron of France is Joan of Arc, that you see in the middle of the square, right in front of you. This is a huge hotel on the right hand side called Maurice. Very, very nice and posh place to stay on the right hand side. A lot of delegations stay here. But in front of us you can see the monument to the Battle of Austerlitz. Now, the monument, like the column, is made out of cannons that were captured in the Battle of Austerlitz, were melted in order to recast a work of art. And an artist even carved on the body of the column scenes from the Battle of Austerlitz. On top, of course, stand Napoleon Bonaparte, Napoleon, the winner of the Battle of Austerlitz, and he is dressed like a Roman emperor, of course. And all what's around the column is Place Vendôme, Square Vendôme, which is one of the most beautiful that Paris can offer. It was built for King Louis XIV, therefore the sun. On the wrought iron balconies, in front of the windows, you can see little sun. This is the emblem of that.
Well, I'll tell you, that guy Bonaparte really made his mark in Paris, didn't he?
Yeah, we've only seen the beginning of it. I mean, there's quite a history behind
and
him.
wait till the next show. We're going to go see where he's buried. Anyway, in this beautiful square which he was talking about, these statues I think they were rather new. I'd never seen those there before.
I wish I knew what that was, but there's an interesting article about the statues, well, when we get to the park, about how they have used the statues, and when they from the museum, and then when they get in disrepair, they make copies of them, and then they put them in the garden.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so they keep up, and they always have a fresh statue of an old statue, you know?
Well, you got to wash the bird stuff off the top of most of them. Anyway, I thought this was interesting here. Look at Cartier, the outdoors
great
that they
jeweler,
did up there.
yeah.
Yeah, look at that. And they say they only need to make one sale a day to keep the doors open there.
Oh my gosh.
You can imagine.
Well,
what
we
kind of a
didn't
sale
shop
it is.
there.
No, that's where we just drove
Yeah.
right on by. Let's listen to our guide once again.
You see, if you look ahead, you see a great creation of urban architecture under Napoleon III, with all these busts that represent composers, and you can see which is whom. Under each bust there is a name of a composer. Mozart and Beethoven are in the center, look. Now look at this lamp post. Look how they carry caryatid that carry a lamp post on their head. Used to be gas lit at the time. On the right hand side, we just go by, is the biggest mob in the nation. So this is a famous Gallery Lafayette on the right hand side, the biggest department store as such. This street is called Boulevard Haussmann, which many other shops were put here, such as Printemps farther ahead, and C&A on the left hand side. And the church is right ahead across from us, La Madeleine.
And this is a beautiful church. You know, Betty, they say that this is probably one of the most significant churches in Paris. It was completed in about 1845, but it went through all sorts of problems. They started it actually in 1764, but after the victory of Napoleon, he decided, well, that shouldn't be a church. That should be a building to commemorate my victory.
Me, huh?
Me, right? Yeah. But after the fall of Napoleon, then the plans changed again.
But you know what? They just tore down what had been done and rebuilt.
Sure.
Had a lot of labor, I guess, and a lot
Right.
of money in those times. Huh?
Well, I think that was a Benedictine abbey.
It is
at
now.
one- Is that what
It
it
is
The
now.
Benedictines
Yes,
have
it has
Is that
now.
right?
It's been changed into the Benedictines have taken over, and they rule the roost.
Well, that's great.
Well, no, it's put to good use, and you like to have somebody in authority.
Guess who was one of the composers that played the organ in the church?
Some musician.
Yeah, Camille Saint-Saëns. How about that?
Oh, who's Camille
And-
Saint-Saëns?
Oh, you don't know Camille Saint-Saëns?
I'm so afraid not.
His organ symphony was the most beautiful thing that you've ever heard in your life.
Where'd you hear it? Do you have a record? Do you have a CD
Oh,
of it?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, you're-
And also Gabriel Ferrari, who also we've done some of his masses on Sunday here on the
On our
in
television
concert series,
in the-
right? Yeah. And so this was very, very famous. But they also had the funeral of Frédéric Chopin was also held here in the Madeleine. So it has quite a
Oh, it's got
has
quite a history. But the amazing thing is how unprepossessing it is on the outside.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't
a
look like a church at
nothing.
all.
When my daughter and I were there, we were going to walk right by it. We thought, oh, another museum, But we got more curious because our hotel was just down the
I've got to
street.
tell you, I did the same thing on one of my trips. My sister and I were there, and we walked by and we thought, what is it? I don't know. It
doesn't look very pretty, does it?
No, not from the outside. Well,
Uh-uh.
it looks like it's something right out of Rome. I mean, the way that it is. But it's
I want to
beautiful.
go back to this statue.
Yeah.
I think I made a remark, I'm not really sure, about it. I said, oh, that looks like the Blessed Mother being carried up to heaven. But of course it wasn't. What's the name of the church? That
Mary
had to be
Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene.
Right, yeah.
And she was taken up by the angels up into heaven. And then up at the top, you can see all the greeters waiting for her to
And
arrive.
Here's a statue of the Blessed
There's
Mother.
the
here on
oh,
the
I
side,
know
yeah.
her, sure.
But it really is beautiful. So if you do go to Paris and you see this building, go inside. You will notice it by the outside. They always bring these planters and plant fresh flowers. And they change that several times during the year, and it's just beautiful. Anyway, and you can see that's what the guys are doing now.
Yeah.
And actually some women that are working on that too. But they bring that and they put that on the stairs leading up to those gorgeous doors that we just saw. And it's really, really quite impressive. Let's listen to our guide once again.
Now we enter to Concorde Square, which is the vastest square as such in Paris. and in the middle the obelisk from Egypt, the gift from Egypt to France, and the fountains are very pretty as well, the combination of black and gold colors together, look. And the obelisk with the hieroglyphics, old Egyptian writings on the body of the granite stone. On top there is golden triangle that was put on top of the obelisk. A very, very famous avenue that we are going to employ very soon called the Champs-Élysées, spring from here and goes all the way up to the Arch of Triumph. That's where we will have our next stop. So can you please look to the right and see that noble avenue? About 2 miles long towards the Arch of Triumph of the Champs-Élysées Avenue. Now to your right, please look. Look how the trees are trimmed to see the perspective. Now, please, there you are. Now the French Parliament is the building in front, the House of Representatives. That's where 577 deputies sit and vote the laws of the country. The Eiffel Tower can be seen from here in a nice way on the right hand side. Here are the Tuileries Gardens at the corners of the square. We have statues of ladies. Each one represents a big city in France, and she sits with her back toward the city she represents. Strasbourg, Rouen, Lille, Marseille, etc. We were glad to receive that granite stone in the middle of the square because it's 3,300 years of age. Wow. And in front you can see the Admiralty House is on the right, a big huge hotel called Crillon on the left, and the American Embassy. Your embassy in Paris is that building on the left behind the tall tree. This is the American Embassy here in Paris. And the American Embassy is next door to Crillon. The name of the hotel is Crillon Hotel. Now to your right hand side. Very, very nice place to stay because you dominate the square. Here stood the French guillotine also during the Revolution. Queen Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI lost their heads here in this square. They were beheaded on the guillotine. This is the entrance to the embassy, American Embassy on the right, here on the right. Wow. Very, very tough control check, here on the right. And next to it is a Japanese embassy and the English, the British embassy. On the right hand side is a lovely avenue here with chestnut trees. All the trees you see on the right are the famous chestnut tree. Look, here on the right hand side is the palace of our president. President Chirac works here. And here is a gate with a rooster. Tout doucement, merci beaucoup. Have a look. Et puis après, c'est à gauche. Merci. Have a look on the rooster here, look. And French Republic, it says. République Française. And the building behind is the house of the presidents. All the French presidents lived and worked here. Include Mitterrand, François Mitterrand, include President Charles de Gaulle at the time, and Valéry Giscard d'Estaing as well. President Chirac, he sits already 10 years. In France, we elect every 5 years. In your country, I think it's 4. In here is 5 years, a mandate for a president. He sits twice. And Charles de Gaulle, a statue of Charles de Gaulle, is in this area in front of us. And the fine, huge building that you see behind is an exhibition hall called Le Grand Palais. Exhibition hall on the left that was built for the event of international exhibition that took place here in 1900. Now we drive along the Champs-Élysées, the famous street where all the parades take place. Have a look, that's the Champs-Élysées Avenue that we employ at the moment. A lot of police around here because of the palace of the French president, and they control the situation. They control the situation, and at the foreground you can see the arch. Oh la la. Now the police want to check us.
Oh, yes.
At the foreground, the Arch de Triomphe, the triumphal arch that was built for Napoleon. Napoleon thought to come back to his city, to his capital, after victories overseas. So they started to build it, but as it took 30 years to complete, poor Napoleon was not here to enjoy. He not only was in exile, but he died before they complete the arch. Nevertheless, you'll see all the carving and decoration on the arch represent, show, teach the time, the era, the victories, the battles of Napoleon. 11 years he sat as emperor, and later on we shall go and see where he is buried. He is buried in a beautiful church that was painted gold on top. Think of the 14th of July, the army parade march through this avenue. Think of the Tour de France. Twice a year the avenue is closed for cars, only people can walk. 31st of December and the 14th of July. Cinema houses, restaurants, bars, showrooms of cars, Renault, Peugeot, Citroën, all these addresses are along the Champs-Élysées, that noble avenue. Now we clean the Arch of Triumph. Under the arch on the ground there is the tomb of the unknown soldier, the unknown French soldier with flowers, and eternal flame burns on the head part 24 hours a day. So, what else we can point out for you over here? For example, the Planet Hollywood shop and restaurant on the right belong to Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Lee to the right. Now look, Planet Hollywood. There is a bakery store, very famous, La Durée, here on the left, that Marie Antoinette brought bakers from Austria, and they opened here a bakery, which still you can get strudels from Austria over here. I mean Austrian style strudels. And a restaurant called Fouquet's, where many film stars like to go and have their dinner here on the left. Have a look. Fouquet's. And Louis Vuitton. One lady asked me, have a look at Louis Vuitton on the left hand side. Look how they decorated like big suitcase with the logo Louis Vuitton. Look to the left.
Look at that.
Look at this, Louis Vuitton, now to your left. Very funny. The Lido is here. The Lido, the floor show area. The Lido, very famous, together with the Moulin Rouge and Paradis Latin, which is another section of town. But the Lido is here. And in front of you is the famous Arch de Triomphe of 150 feet high. And coming on the right hand side is the McDonald's of the Champs-Élysées. Look, yes.
Well, I think I'd pass up McDonald's and go again to Cartier, as you see
Oh,
here.
you could afford it?
No, just I
And
can
you
afford to
can't-
look in the window.
But
That's
you
all.
can't eat jewelry.
Not unless you hawked it.
Oh, you mean a salad?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is so beautiful. You know, Betty, the first time I was here was on the 22nd anniversary of the liberation of Paris from the Nazis. And
Was
Charles
that
de-
Bastille Day?
No.
That was-
no.
oh.
That was just its
Oh.
own holiday. And Charles de Gaulle came whipping by in a great big open car, and there was huge, great big flag on the inside of this because you know the tomb of the unknown soldier is on the inside of the Arc de Triomphe, and there is an elevator. You can go if you wish all the way up to the top. But I will tell you one thing: don't cross the street to
Oh,
go
no.
on it.
Oh.
There's
So
an underground
dangerous.
where you can go and get over to the Arc, but don't try it. Hot footing it across the street. Too much traffic.
Now there's quite a history of who's carved here on the walls, and I think you have that information
Well, I know
down
that-
who they
that-
are to identify
Well,
them.
Napoleon commissioned this in 1806 to commemorate his Grand Army victory, and it was completed in 1836. And then 4 years later, Napoleon's remains were brought from his grave. You know, he died on St. Helena Island, or St. Helena rather, and they passed under the Ark because it was finished after he already died. And so, but anyway, he got to go through it. So, but he probably wasn't there to go to Cartier's to spend some of this
Did
kind
you
of
see?
money. Look at those.
Excuse
That's
me. Do
euros.
you see the price?
10,000 euros.
Can you believe the price?
Ooh, I can believe it.
And they buy. I mean,
Well, I didn't go through the front door, let me tell you. I just
looked in the window, huh? Yeah. Press your nose up against
press
the
my
glass.
nose up against the window, and then somebody comes out and cleans
Wipes
the glass.
it off, huh?
Yeah, really.
All right, now what about the rest of these
Okay,
figures?
well, you can see that there are several decorations, of course, on all sides of the Ark. And this, of course, is going to depict the victories that Napoleon had, and that's why he wanted this. That's why he wanted this built, so that he would, he could probably enjoy it. But unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to really enjoy it.
But there were generals up there.
Oh,
There were
yeah.
all of the people that participated in all of
In all of the wars
all
that-
the wars that
that
he
he
was
had,
in.
yeah.
And I think that's a wonderful thing to give glory, if it's glory, to the people that did the actual fighting. Well, of course, Napoleon did, but to remember them like this in stone is
Right.
a
And you have
nice
to-
tribute.
You have to remember. Oh, there's my car. You have to remember that the other arches that were built, that the city was walled at one time too. So there was a way to get in and out of the walled city. But here, what we're seeing, of course, is more of this beautiful architecture.
The architecture,
everywhere
yes.
you look, these buildings. I don't care. You can walk, you can drive. Just look up and you see such great architecture.
Out of 37 bridges, each bridge have a story, a king, a beauty, a pride. The oldest bridge we have in Paris is called the New Bridge somehow, because when it was built, it was new, 400 years ago. Then, since all the other bridges, the oldest one have collapsed into the water, and the oldest bridge became the oldest bridge. The new bridge became the oldest bridge. That I'm trying to say, the new by name, but the oldest by reality. And the newest bridge, the real one, was built 2 years ago, actually. And it's a footbridge, actually, across the river Seine. So that's where the terrible accident of Princess Diana have taken place, and it's like a place of pilgrims today, honestly. Now to the right, you see the flame.
Was that the flame?
The gold, yes.
The flame was
It's in the shape of a flame. It's not a real flame, it's a statue to represent a flame. Like in New York. And if you come here on the 31st of August every year, the date of the accident, that's where people bring flowers a lot. And the chestnuts, look at all the chestnuts. If you come back to Paris in the beginning of October, the fruit of the chestnuts fall on the ground, and we collect it, and we offer roasted chestnut to the people. Some trees, you cannot eat the fruit. It's given to horses, what you call horse chestnut. But some fruit is good for people to eat, so we sell roasted chestnuts. Look at the beautiful bridge and the building where Napoleon is buried.
Well, Betty, I'll tell you what. We kind of crisscross the city as we're going on this tour, because we had 3 days of 8 hours a day, and it was so marvelous. It's the best tour that I've ever had of Paris. I like you have. We've walked it before, and we've been through a lot of it, but yet the explanation that we got on this site was just absolutely beautiful.
I thought it was very good. It amuses me. We say, or I say, the Arc de Triomphe, but he says it's the arch. And so whether that's,
it is.
It's really.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick if you want to. Here we're looking again at
That's the Louvre.
At the Louvre.
Yeah, that's
and of course
monstrosity there.
Well, I like that.
No, I don't.
I didn't when I first saw it in the magazines and things. I thought, oh my gosh, that's ugly. But it's a great reception area, because you go down underneath.
Yeah,
and it's a great way to see. They have an elevator that's sort of on a pedestal that lifts you up.
Well, that's fine. But why do they have to have that big glass triangle?
Well, it's better than building another building.
Oh,
don't you
they
think?
could just put a sign up, go downstairs and see what we've got to offer. I just think it's just out of place.
Oh, I don't know.
But I'm not the only one. There was a
No,
lot
I know,
of
and I
complaint
sort of thought
about
that when I first
mixing
saw it
so
in
modern with
films
such
and things,
ancient,
But I think it works. I don't know. I had to go there to actually experience it, to see it work. But it does work. Anyway.
What do you mean it works?
Well,
you haven't got a choice.
No, but they can. You know how many people go through there in one day that go through the Louvre?
But yeah, I'm
And they
not
have to have a way
talking
to-
about any
to
of
do
that.
that,
I'm just talking about the appearance of that outside triangle. But anyway, it was the French like it.
And
That's
guess
fine.
what? It was done by an American.
Well, that's they showed poor taste.
Well, maybe, but maybe I'm sure it was commissioned, by the city fathers there in Paris. So Somebody had to have it. Anyway, this is the gardens here, which is on the other side of the street from the Louvre. And this goes on and on and on and on. But you know, I think the great thing about these gardens, and we may have mentioned that before, is that, you know, if you were living in one of these buildings in Paris and you had children, whatever, you know, there's not any place for the kids to play because you don't have a backyard or a front yard. But you do have these beautiful, beautiful parks. And in this particular one, they have little sailboats for the kids, and they also have puppet shows, and you can buy, you know, your ice cream or your glaces there, and especially on a Sunday. But you look all the way down, so you can see the Arc de Triomphe. I mean, it's, you know, a couple of miles down there. But the way that the city is laid out is just so beautiful. I mean, we had stopped for lunch, which is across the street, so I grabbed something real quick, and I said, I've got to go over and enjoy the gardens. So I had about an hour over here to wander around. And you talk about statues, Betty.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this garden here has got more statues than you can shake a stick at.
Now, all of the parks, they have many, many parks throughout Paris. All of them aren't that amenable to children, or, you know.
No, because some of them, they don't want you on the
They
grass.
don't want you
But
on the
but
grass.
the others, you can. And of course, the big wide gravel things
Allows
that
you
see
to
right
walk
there,
on the gravel.
Betty,
not-
well, we've got a couple of minutes. I just want to mention the thing about, we saw a Joan of Arc statue, which is not very far away from here. It's actually kind of across the street. You know, she was called the Maiden from Orleans, and she was a shepherdess from the northern village up in Lorraine. And she claimed that from the age of 12, she heard voices from God urging her to fight for France. And when she was 16, she began bravely to take action. And which I didn't realize is that she was determined that the Dauphin, who was the son of the dead King Charles VI,
Yeah.
who was really disinherited by a treaty that they had in 1420, well, she believed that he should become the King of France.
And
so,
why did she believe that? Because she heard the voices that
voice,
told her
right.
this.
And
yes.
so, anyway, that's when she went into battle, and she had told these folks that, you know, this will end the 100 Years' War that they were in. So, dressed in armor, as we saw her earlier, she led the troops, and she inspired the French troops. And she had a victory in Orleans in 1429. Then she accompanied the Dauphin to Reims for his coronation as Charles VII. And I think that's really something. Betty, I think there are a few tourists looking at tourist buses.
You know, I think about that, and we go at a time when it's really like off season.
Yeah, I don't think there is any off season anymore.
I probably not.
Tell you the truth. Hey, that's all the time that we have. We've enjoyed it. We're going to do more on France and Paris, of course, in our next trip. But we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.